Hey everybody, Adam Savage in the Cave with Norm Chan.
Hey Adam, I want to chat with you about a piece of kit that you on the other side of the camera have seen
Many times
over the past 3, almost 4 years now.
You've had this almost 4 years?
I know, it's kind of crazy. I got this basically when the lockdown started, and it's really one of my favorite things. Like, every year since I've used it, it's come up as like, should I just tell people about this again? Because it's a thing that we use so much.
Right.
And it informs for you out there watching, like the look of some of the videos that we've put out.
This gives you that tracking shot you love. It always adds amazing perspective to B-roll.
Yes. It's a slider. So this is made by iFootage. And it's such a small, compact thing. One, it fits everything here, which I've deployed, fits into a carry-on.
That's the most beautiful part.
You've seen me walk off a plane with a carry-on, international trips.
Yeah, given that we have done dozens of trips with this in the past 4 years, it's remarkably devoid of scrapes and dings.
That's not to say it hasn't been used.
No.
I take care of my stuff.
I'm impressed at how well you take care of your stuff.
And so one, it's compact.
Right.
And two, it's pretty versatile. Now we don't always use this, like, you know, when Joey and Josh are shooting, you know, the FX6 that they're shooting with right now.
Right. That's the bread and butter.
Exactly. But if we're down at prop store, or we just need a second angle for you having a conversation with someone, having this deployed quickly is one of the most useful things.
Well, and let's talk about this from a coverage perspective, because I see a lot of YouTube channels shooting their own B-roll, obviously, and one of the things about B-roll, or the footage that supports what you're talking about, the close-ups as you're describing small articles on the object, is that you can shoot a static shot, and that will cut just fine. But if there's movement in that shot, if there's any movement in that shot, whether it's a focused rack or a little bit of a track, it gives more perspective, more drama, more involvement to the video.
100%. A little bit of parallax.
Yeah.
I've paired this with a GH5 with a long lens.
Right.
And that gives me a lot of that, you know, the long focal length look, a macro look almost. Sometimes I use it as the wide cam. You know, when we're shooting, we're downstairs, prop store, and say, Adam, this is your A cam. Because this is the wide cam that we're using. And it's really the compactness and how easy it is, how quickly it is to deploy.
Can you show, there's a thing about its compactness that I'm really excited about. I really love its design.
I have it set up right. So it's a simple tripod. There's no head on this. This is deployed here. This is about a 10-inch track.
Yeah.
So if you put this on a table, it can slide 10 inches left or right, which, like, again, that little bit of movement can go a long way. But because it's on the tripod here, it actually gives me almost double that. So this is...
It's a dynamic increase.
16 inches.
Amazing.
And that's why this can stay compact, but I can still get a relatively wide look. That's great, but then how quickly it's deployed. Like, a lot of sliders have apps, and this one does have an app as well. I don't ever take out my phone.
No, I don't want any more apps.
I don't want Bluetooth
ever
to be connected to this.
If I can't turn an object on unless I have an app, I'm not buying that object.
And this, I can say, hey, this is my A point right here. I'm literally tapping A. This is my B point.
Jeez.
And I have my 25-second interval. And let me just start that.
It's
and then
that's it. Sorry, I did not realize it was that simple.
It. When you're chatting, I'm like, Adam, ready? We're ready. We're ready, because that's it. It's moving. And here's a 25-second just sliding shot. I can have it cycle back and forth, right? Sometimes in the middle of a conversation, you guys will, you know, just shift somewhere. Look, I can just easily change my angle right there.
Yep.
And I can quickly, while still rolling,
go back to one.
Change my 1 position, change my 2 position. I'm doing that all the time.
Has this gotten looser at all over the years? Have you had to tighten up some of its parameters here and there?
This head here, I tighten.
Yeah.
Because this, I love the leveling.
Right.
Right, because then that lets me level real quickly. But because it does cantilever out, and it can droop a little bit, so I do tighten one nut here.
Gotcha.
To give me that over time.
Yeah.
But again, I can just say, that's my A, that's my B.
It's a remarkable piece.
And I can say, let me start on the B side, okay? And repeat, and there goes. It's starting. And,
that's amazing.
And stand by and begin. And that's really all it needs, right? There's some limitations, like because I'm not using an app, I'm not changing, for example, the ramping of the curve.
Right,
like
I see. You can get more dynamic with the app.
Yeah, and it's gonna speed up at the start and slow down the middle, and so there's like a characteristic look to this thing.
Right, yeah.
Something that a lot of sliders don't have is that this is a 2-axis slider. So not only is it moving laterally, it's giving me a rotation.
It can tilt, pan and tilt.
No, it can pan.
It can pan.
Exactly.
Not tilt,
Not
but
tilt.
pan.
It can pan.
Gotcha.
Exactly. I can mount it vertically. So I've done like time-lapse shots on a 3D print where it's like going down and then tilting. Tilting because this is mounted vertically.
You know, I remember going to see a really important movie, if you don't know about it, Koyaanisqatsi. It's a really, really a major and amazing documentary. It's called World Out of Balance, and it's tons and tons and tons of time-lapse and high-speed shots. And the time-lapse shots, several of them include multi-day tracking shots of sunsets. And this is the 70s. So they were hand-building these custom bespoke pieces of equipment. I remember reading articles about how complex it was, and now this is an item you can get for a few $100.
Yeah, and there's like limitations how much you can control this over time. Like you can add power to it, so it can run multi-day. Right. You can do it will sync up. So if you want it to trigger across interval and for time lapses, it can do that. But like, as a bare bones, get it done, give us a wide shot or give us some B-roll in a time-constrained production environment. Like, it's one of the things I just absolutely
really rely on.
Love on. But the reason I want to bring this up is because iFootage has now a follow-up that we just got in that is a little bit bigger.
It's bigger.
I know. This is the Shark Slider Nano 2.
Okay. So this is the follow-up to that.
This is the follow-up for that.
I see carbon fiber rods.
Yeah, it's a 17-inch track by itself.
Okay, so a little bit more than the total of this.
But it doesn't double.
It's not dynamic, it's longer.
Exactly, it's just simply longer. It's a little more heavy duty, so it's not gonna like fall off. But one thing that's interesting is that it will give you an extra axis or extra many axes of movement if you pair this with a DJI gimbal.
Oh!
Yeah. Like the RS line of gimbals, can hold like, a 10-pound camera. We just got one of those in to have for a couple weeks to mess around with this. I was wondering, is there something you'd like to shoot and try?
Yes.
If we have lateral movement, we have pan, we have tilt, we have roll potentially.
Yes. So I just bought, at your recommendation, one of those beautiful little probe lenses for the iPhone.
Yes.
And I've got the case for it, the 17-millimeter screw-in probe lens. And I used to use these in special effects when I made scale models for production. We would plan shots out by putting a probe snorkel with a right angle attachment in it through an architectural model. I would love to break out one of my architectural models and run the probe lens through it in scale.
All right. I mean, having used those, it's like, let's spend a whole day to get 10 cool seconds of footage.
Exactly. No, it's the number of times I've gotten to spend a whole day getting 10 seconds of footage is the best.
All right, let's work on it. That's a great idea. Let's get that architectural model out and put this through its paces.
Amazing. I'm psyched.
Okay, we spent a little time using the Shark Nano Slider 2 with Adam's periscope lens with some of his architectural models, and like we anticipated, it was a lot of work for maybe not the best amount of payoff. And that's no fault of the slider or the DJI gimbal system that we attached to it. I think it's more of it being paired with this particular periscope lens, which has a 90-degree angle, which when mounted to a phone in the slider might be great looking down or sideways, but we struggled to find the right orientation of this to get a true kind of a macro shot inside the model. Like moving it upside down is ideally where we want this to be, and we just couldn't rig it so it would work with this slider. Since then, we've taken this slider along with the gimbal that we've rented to a bunch of shoots, sometimes in the cave, sometimes on location, experimenting with how this compares with the first model, what getting an extra couple degrees of movement will get you. What we also realized, what I've realized is fundamentally the second generation of this slider operates differently than the first generation. The first Nano slider is shorter, and there is a shorter version of the two, but when it's mounted on the tripod, one of the things I love so much about it is that it can actually go twice the length. You see that bottom plate is actually moving, and so you get effectively twice the track length, longer than even the 17 inches you have on this long version of the successor. The successor is more sturdy. I mean, power passes through to hold the weight of this gimbal and a camera. And so I guess it makes sense that it wouldn't have that extra length that you could double this 17 inches of track to. And so I was worried that, is this 17 inches of track useful? I mean, can I get more out of it by adding these extra degrees of movement? And it turns out, surprisingly, you could, because I was thinking of it linearly. I was thinking, okay, I can maybe push into a subject, those 17 inches. I can have a long focal length, get some parallax, move a little bit, and shift between foreground and background across those couple inches. But when you're adding not only pan left and right, but tilt up and down, as well as potentially roll, it's not just the camera moving along one straight line. You're now thinking in diagonals. And with the software on this, on the successor, you can set up to 8 different keyframe points. Previously, you had endpoint A, endpoint B, really quick for me to set up. I can set that up and go left and right. Here, you can set A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and have them incrementally ramp up your movements, change the intervals, time intervals between those keyframes, as well as set the camera in any position you want. I can start this on the far left with the camera looking up, make that my A point, move just a few inches, and then maybe now it's looking down here, and that's my B point, move here, and then maybe it's here and doing a little bit of a roll action. That's my C point. And then let's say a D point is swinging back this way and rolling the opposite direction, and then going back to here as an additional last point. And I can set any interval time between these keyframes so that, for example, I can have that movement with all those different points, move up and down. And here, it's moving along these diagonals. It's not just this linear line. You're getting a lot more potentially usable footage and interesting footage by adding tilt, roll, in addition to the pan and the linear movement. Kind of reminds me of Iron Man's motion control robot that he has in his workshop. A little bit of a personality. We also found that having that additional roll is maybe the least useful, at least with this gimbal. Tilt, very useful. Being able to go look down and up. Previously, you had to mount the slider vertically on the tripod to turn the pan into a tilt. Here, tilt happens naturally, and adding pan and tilt to have those diagonal movements works great. Adding the roll, a little bit aggressive, a little bit of a novelty. We didn't find ourselves using it all that much. But in our production environment where we're on location, we're at a place and we only have so much time to get our B-roll footage or to set up multiple cameras, this is something that's been really useful in getting some really interesting types of shots for product photography, for wide shots for our main camera, and complementing the other cameras that we use on our day-to-day. Price-wise, it's still on the pricey side, $650 for the short version of the Shark Nano Slider 2. The longer version, this model here, is $750. And I don't think they've stopped selling the first generation as well, which if you don't need to attach a gimbal onto it and you just want panning, this I still would recommend because it can fit in a carry-on luggage. This won't fit into a standard suitcase, and I still plan on using this as my primary slider for day trips down to Los Angeles, for short trips around to do our production. So that's it. If you have experience using sliders, gimbals, this system, I'd love to hear about your techniques for getting interesting shots. Hope you, now when you watch a future tested video and you see that slider shot, now you know what we're doing in the background. I hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into our production as well as testing some new gear. Thanks to iFootage for letting us use this new slider, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you guys so much for watching that video. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you we have some excellent merch. We have a 5-pack of demerit badges for sale right now at tested/store.com. We've got the I hung it off of level demerit badge, the I built the chair backwards demerit badge, the I hit my thumb with a hammer demerit badge. We've got the stapler in my finger demerit badge, and my favorite, I stuck the duct tape to itself demerit badge. Get yours now, tested/store.store, tested-store. Tested. It's right here. There. Just click there.